In the phone line, red line, I think that existing, is it? Like that on that.
Okay, why is it doing that?
Come on. Check.
Okay.
All
right, recording.
Yeah.
Recording. All right.
Recording in progress.
All right. It is 7:01 and I'm going to call the meeting to order. There's a couple of additions to the agenda.
I'm gonna do them as one.
Okay.
And we have two additions this evening. Under 5.1, I'd make a motion to add 5.1, which is approval of the fuel card policy. And agenda item 7.1, which is a fire department purchase.
Motion made by Matt, and seconded, by Karen to, add the fire department purchase and the, fire, fuel card policy to the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next is the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of there's two, right? Because there's a special as
There's
well.
a special and a regular, and it's the regular that needs to be
Yes.
corrected.
So I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 20th with one correction. And that was the deputy health officer appointment. That should have read, Mr. Bykowski made a motion to appoint town administrator Cynthia Browning as deputy health officer. Mr. Sherman seconded the motion and the motion carried unanimously. And also in that motion to approve the special select board meeting minutes of October 27th as presented.
Second. Okay. Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to approve the minutes as corrected from the October 20th meeting and the minutes as presented from the October 27th meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Still hard for me not to vote.
I hear you. The next item is public comments, and that's open to anyone who has anything that's not on the agenda and would like to comment about it. So anyone in the room or on the Zoom call would like to opine, now's your chance.
Did you guys pick an engineer to prove the lead lot situation?
We have a researcher who has done research for us, and I have the draft report for the board to look at. It's not finalized, it's not public yet, but we did have a researcher and we do have a report.
Is that MSK?
Yes,
Because they're the ones that did the whole thing for that sublot up there before they did originally when Jim Sequel owned it.
it's,
Just talking about,
Sure,
I know that.
sure.
Yep, good to know. Anything else?
I come to watch you guys because
Okay.
fun to watch.
We're flattered, I'm sure.
Try and
What
coast
else
right
is there,
through
what
it.
is there, else is there to do?
Kind
on a
of, you
rainy
said.
night?
We'll coast right through it. It's better than reality TV.
Any other public comment? Okay. Number 5 is the highway. Project updates, White Creek agreement, and the right-of-way updates.
okay, so as I'll do the right-of-way update again, just for the record. There's two aspects that I've been working on. If you remember, there's a question of the Benedict Crossing Bridge and the situation there. The town clerk's office did research with me, and we ascertained that the deeds to the Pickering property adjacent to Benedict Crossing and the bridge all mention the highway right of way, and it's even shown on one of the surveys. So there's no question that there was any kind of special situation there.
Mhm.
And I will probably be going down and doing the measuring at like 2 o'clock on Friday, and I'm gonna call Mr. Pickering so he can join me if he wishes to. But it was it was completely no question. And Robin and Susan did also look to see if there were any special plans for that bridge. And there aren't any. I guess it's too old or whatever, but the deeds are very, very clear. So, and I sent Mr. Pickering copies of the deeds marked up with our conclusions, so he has that material.
Okay.
In terms of the other right-of-way question, the question of Lee Blott Road, as I was just saying, the researcher has completed a draft report, and the board does not have it yet, and we need to consult our attorney. So we're not at the point of making the report public. I mean, I'll tell you about it in an executive session, but, we need to consult our attorney and make sure we understand how we're gonna go forward. And so I think that, my recommendation would be that after the report has been finalized and the board has digested it and decided what they want to do, or what they think they want to do, then we would have the hearing and, make a decision from there. If that, you know, that, at least that's my tentative sketch, and it's always subject to change.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea when that'll all happen?
Well, it's progress that we have the report, and we will meet again in 2 weeks, so that would be the next chance for something to happen.
Thank you.
Can we go back to Bicker's property?
Yes.
And his concern is putting up that, you know, that 25 feet right away. It's gonna be a mess in the summertime, so now is the town gonna go down there and clean that up for them?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see the level of activity. The bridge being closed may change the level of activity in some ways.
I
From
haven't
what,
seen it change, the kids are still.
oh, no, the kids are still there, but the commercial operators are not there. Which, was part of the problem before, the livery operators, because they can't go across the bridge and unload and all that kind of stuff. So I think there is gonna still be a problem there, and I personally feel that since the town is asserting the public's right of way at the bridges, the covered bridge and here, I think the town should take some responsibility for maintaining those accesses. We've maintained the public access at the rec park, put in stone steps. We've maintained it at other places along River Road. And, I put this in my budget recommendation that I sent you, and I think we should step up. If we're gonna say this is public access.
And then he's gotta move that fence back.
He's gotta move the fence back to 25 feet. That's what I'm gonna mark. And, you know, a lot of brush has grown up. It's not just, you know, so we'll have to see. But yeah, the kids are still there. They'll be there.
No, I think his concern was just the trash that gets.
I know, and I think the town, you know, in some way or other, the town, if we're gonna, it's gotta take some responsibility.
It's not his responsibility to clean.
Right.
And simple as that.
Did the paving complete?
Yes, the paving is completed. If anybody lives along Warrenbrook Road, they haven't done the driveway meshing, you know, where the pavement ends.
They got
and the
some
Yeah,
driveway.
they did.
Oh, they have?
A lot of it today.
All the driveways were done.
They had half of it done by 10:30.
Wow, okay, because I knew they couldn't do it last week because they had to let it set or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, so
And-
Mrs., thank you for commenting on that. There was somebody commented they were very upset because they didn't put that skirt between the pavement
Yeah,
and the driveway, so they had quite a
Drop.
issue.
yeah, yeah. No, and they just have to wait. And also there may be some places where the shoulder of people's lawn or the grassy area is disrupted and everything, but you're not gonna grow grass now. So the highway department will circle back in the spring and deal with that.
But are they gonna do the edges or gonna do the
Shoulders.
They'll do the shoulders,
Yeah.
before spring, right?
probably not until spring. The grass is done growing right now.
No, but you know, the.
Oh, the dirt?
Yeah.
Gravel.
Yes.
The gravel.
Yeah, so there's not a sharp
Yeah,
drop
'Cause
off.
it's
Yeah,
it's a drop in
Yes,
some
yeah.
spots. Okay.
I think the pavement has to like cure and settle.
did,
before
and
they
that's
bring
why-
the
It did
Next
need to
truck
cure.
down to drop that stuff off, otherwise you get,
And not for nothing, but paving was done by a subcontractor.
right,
Not
and we
town
do
crew.
the other
Town
part.
crew goes in and does cleanup. So it's a two-step process, or multiple step process anyway.
And at that time, will they also check the driveways if that's settled and
Mhm.
everything? And
They did all the
It looked like
driveways
it was
today.
all of
yeah, I
them were
saw
done
that.
today
Yeah.
when or at least more than half of them were done.
Thanks to
What I did.
Sunderland Road Crew as well. So
Yep,
Oh, okay.
they
Nice.
were all helpful.
they're part of that.
They made a quick work of it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And I've already had concerns from citizens that everybody's gonna be speeding now that it's nice and smooth.
That's the
Yeah.
unintended
Yeah, like-
consequence of doing
And
that.
I don't know, would have wanted speed bumps, you know, but I do, and also another thing that I did mention in my budget document is I do wonder whether we need to return to the question of patrols by the sheriff's department for things like the summer activity on the river and the speeding. You know, I know the state police doesn't have the personnel for us, if we go back to the sheriff, we'll do it in a very different way than we did it before. But I just really do wonder if we need to, think about that. It's just something to think about for the budget time. So then, the White Creek agreement, I did email you, and I think Dan has a copy. There may be an extra copy on the table. This is the agreement with White Creek for them to plow in Black Hole Hollow. And this is completely standard. They didn't raise the rates.
As I
This is-
said, the rate's the same as
The
it
rate's
was
the
last year.
same,
They
it's
are.
totally, they're it's just the same, it's just the same.
It
And
looks
they're-
like the board just needs to authorize me to sign it. There's not.
I agree, and Mark, has talked to Chris
Reuben.
White Creek, and
Mhm.
so everything's fine, and all we need to do is sign it and send it to them, and then, we'll be all set.
I'll make a motion to approve the town highway agreement between the town of Arlington, Vermont, and the town of White Creek in Cambridge, New York, as presented, and authorize Dan Harvey, select board chair, to sign.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to approve the agreement between White Creek and the town of Arlington for the plowing, winter plowing, and the contract hasn't changed, so this goes from November 1st through April 30th, 2026. And to authorize myself to sign the document and return it to White Creek. All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. It is signed. All right. Any other items under highway?
5-1 fuel card.
If you,
Oh, that's right, fuel card.
The fuel card.
Fuel card,
You want to do that
so-
one first or the purchase? Yeah.
5.1 is
Let's
the
do-
fuel card
Yeah.
policy. So previously approved that we, on state contract, procured WEX fuel card platform for town vehicles as well as, fire department vehicles owned by the town, where we fuel said vehicles or equipment. So in your hands is the town of Arlington, Vermont, fuel card policy. And this just talks about the purpose of the policy is to establish clear guidelines for the issuance, use, and management of town-issued fuel cards. The fuel cards are provided to ensure efficient, accountable, and authorized fueling of town vehicles and equipment used in performance of official duties. And the scope applies to town of Arlington employees, volunteers, and officials who are authorized to operate town-owned vehicles or equipment and who have access to town fuel cards. It's important to note that this, basically the balance of the policy, and you're all capable of reading it. I'm not going to read it word for word. Tells us what vehicles they are authorized for. Department heads and town administrator are responsible for accuracy and compliance of said policy. Employees must use fuel cards only for authorized purposes. Must enter accurate odometer readings and vehicle or equipment identification numbers when fueling. If the department requires receipts, they must be submitted promptly, and that's to the discretion of the department and the town administrator, and always safeguard from loss, theft, or damage. Record keeping misuse clearly states that unauthorized use of town fuel cards includes, but is not limited to, purchasing fuel for personal vehicles or non-town equipment, providing the card or fuel to another individual for non-town use, falsifying mileage or transaction records, and confirmed misuse will result in disciplinary action, which may include reimbursement of funds, suspension of card privileges, or termination of employment. I will make a motion to approve the fuel card policy as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to approve the fuel card policy as presented. Discussion.
I just wanted to make the point, especially for Karen, that this is a policy, so it's very easy to change. if it turns out that something about this policy is too restrictive or not restrictive enough, we can change it. It's not like an ordinance where you have to go through hearings.
Yeah.
And I
Very
just wanted to make that some, this is new for us, so we may very well have to change something, but I thought that,
It's an employment policy, so there's an employee handbook.
Any other discussion? I'll note the date is, of the policies effective November 3rd of 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. You want me, I'll sign my
There's-
copy and pass it
Well,
along.
there's,
You can get that.
started already.
Okay.
We can just pass it along. All right, so we're now on the rec park project update.
Thank you, folks.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, appreciate
There's more fun to be had.
it.
You know, I was gonna say that, but you got a little boring.
Boring is good.
Bye-bye.
Willie, do you have anything particular at this point?
No, we do the lines out on Saturday.
Here you go.
So I was gonna raise that, is it completely closed? I mean, are the lines,
The water lines are, drained out for the golf.
okay, for the
Um,
golf course, but not the
The
building?
bubblers are done because soccer season's over with, so that's all done in the pit, you just open the valve and it leaks out, you open that stuff on the bubblers. And then, so yeah, Josh and I and Bruce Madison took care of that. Took like 4 hours to do one because of the new sprinkler heads, weren't aware of how that was gonna happen, and then we figured it out, it worked out good, so I think we're safe until spring. Floyd came today and actually took the flags and poles out, so, and then filled in the new ones and filled in the rest of them, so there's just greens
Golf
there,
course.
that's all there is, so. I don't know, we put the sign back up that it's closed, I don't know, might as well.
Yeah, I think you
wait just
should,
to say it.
but what about, but
It's
the
still-
restrooms are still,
Still open, that's a whole different water thing, so, see what happens at the end of the month, you know, because I'm there till what, 30th of November. And then we can probably shut it down after that, as I think that's the master plan, is to shut it down for the winter.
okay, no,
And-
we definitely want to shut it down. I guess I'm concerned because I know you're gonna be away. And I don't want to be, if we're gonna shut it down, is waiting till the end of November, are we gonna be heating a building that nobody's using? I just wonder about
I
shutting it
think
down.
there's still gonna be plenty of use
You
down
think it's
there.
gonna be?
I
okay.
think there
All
will.
A
right.
lot of
This will
people
be a
walk
lot
in the
of
dog
nice
park,
days.
all that.
50 degrees next week.
Okay, so we'll
it's not
aim
like
for the
it's-
end of the.
And not in harm with like freezing up,
Okay,
which is fine, and the heat is on in there
okay,
lightly, it's only on like 50 maybe.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's warm during the day still. It's not, it's just the overnight. There's some
Okay.
residual there, so.
Just because there's frost on the ground doesn't mean inside a building is freezing.
Yeah.
Right, and then the other thing that, just to let the board know that, there's been a question about the new playground in terms of the distance between the swing sets and the other apparatus. And someone from VLCT is coming down because he looked at it and he said that they weren't far enough apart. There's some sort of measurement about how far twice the vertical. I don't actually understand what his thing said, and so he has to come down and explain to us exactly where it has to be, because something, and I don't know why the playground, people who installed it wouldn't have known what that was, but for whatever reason, he says it's not safe, and it has to be safe, so I don't know if we will have to take out some of the swings or move some of the other apparatus. I really literally do not understand what he's
I would be
saying.
highly surprised if they would have put them in too close,
I
because they've
just,
done, that's
So when
their
they dug it
business.
out, they should have measured the distance anyways.
Yeah, they know the vertical drop of
I-
the swing and
Yeah.
the
I
forward.
know, I'm
I
telling you,
just-
what he said makes
yeah.
no sense to me, so
Well, makes
he's
no
coming,
sense to me.
he's coming, I'm gonna call Willie when he gets here, we'll go down there, I've got my tape measure, you know,
Well,
and we'll
let's
get it all, and I've got a camera, we'll get it all.
get a written
Yeah.
report
Yes.
from them.
Cause he gave us a written thing saying you have to fix this deficiency, and I don't understand it, so I can't fix it.
And then we should also look at the contract that was written and signed for the playground installation. to see if there was, I don't know what the verbiage or clause in there, if they were supposed to meet any regulations or anything like that,
They
so.
should know code.
Yeah,
It would be interesting to read
yeah,
the contract, so we should pull the contract.
okay,
Because if we have to move something, I wanna, if the provisions are appropriate in the contract, which they should have been, if it was signed and properly reviewed, then they would be on the hook for that work.
right, and I don't know what the fix is gonna be, I don't know if it's moving the other apparatus, or if it's
Well, let's not get ahead of it, let's.
that there isn't enough room of the mulch, I don't know, so I'm gonna find out, but I just wanna, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but better to know than not to know that that is a potential issue. Okay, so I think that's it for the park, yeah.
Pete has more or less completed the softball field as well.
Good.
Oh, yes, oh, of course, I should have asked about that.
After this rain, he did say that he wants more, red clay. He was going to throw that in and do that himself.
Okay,
So there is another load of that coming. I don't know if he showed up yet, but I don't know. But he said he was going to include that in his initial,
excellent,
so
excellent.
Super.
that is
That's
coming.
excellent. And also, I have, submitted the invoice for reimbursement to the Park and Rec Committee and also sent it by mail. But that's just for the golf greens that we've already done. And Janet helped me to, get it ready and all correct. So we'll see how that works. And I just want to say how much we appreciate the Park and Rec Committee's support of the Breeze project and now of the softball project. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, I don't know where. What kind of that interrupted business? Or executive session.
Okay, so no more updates for the park, right?
Right.
Alright. Arlington Fire Department. Updates and the Cambridge Fire Agreement and there's a purchase. Right?
Okay.
Let's take the purchase first.
All right, well, I have the purchase here, so, 2 meetings ago, we pulled the renewal of one of the applications that the fire department uses for rig checks. They do them electronically through a mobile device. And today, the fire department has 3 separate applications to communicate, dispatch, as well as do the rig checks. And we have an upcoming requirement for new reporting as of January. So we issued an RFP for what they call an RMS, or records management system, for the fire department. We issued the RFP. The chief's assistant chief Marco spent a considerable amount of time working on this and attending vendor demos. And we have received our responses back, and the chiefs and I met over the weekend to review them. We had 3 respondents. They were Alpine Software, Response Master, and First Due. We went through, as you see in your orange binder, to make sure that these solutions met our needs or where there were shortcomings from said applications. And we have settled on replacing all 3 of the apps, plus getting additional functionality for the fire department on the vendor from Alpine Software. And this software will also play into our insurance reimbursement billing. So these will seamlessly integrate with third-party biller. Alpine Software has open API and integrations with all of the major third-party billers. So what that'll mean is that once we run the RFP for the third-party billing company and agree on a contingency amount there, when the fire department goes to a motor vehicle accident call, Valcor is our PSAP's CAD system that automatically create a record. That record goes to the mobile devices that we've procured for the trucks, and all of the engagement after the dispatch is tracked in that. And when they close out the call, it will automatically go to the third-party biller. So with that, we're looking at approving a purchase for Alpine software. The totality of the software is, and I calculated this, it was just about $850 over what we pay for the 3 apps annually. And that gives us 60% more functionality than we have today. So it's a very good value. We were able to negotiate a contract with very favorable terms. It would be a 5-year agreement, and with that, the 5-year agreement is a 3% annual uplift year over year. We were also able to negotiate removing the auto renewal clause and locking ourselves into an additional 3% year over after that. So our maximum uplift per annum is 3% in the totality for the existence of this agreement.
For the entire 5 years.
Well, beyond 5 years if you choose to renew. And we are required, there is no auto renewal, and each renewal term must be firmly approved by the town of Arlington Select Board in writing no later than 90 days prior to the expiration of the then current term. Effective date is January 1st of 2026, so there is an onboarding period. And that effective date would be when we will receive the invoice for the software. It includes comprehensive training and onboarding, project management. Company's been around since 1994, and it is a very mature product. So with that, we were also, just as a note, contractually governing law and venue. It was agreed upon that the agreement shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Vermont without regard to its conflict of law principles. And the parties agreed that any legal action, suit, or proceeding arising out of or related to this agreement will be brought exclusively in the state or federal courts located in Bennington County, Vermont. So with that, I would make, there's 2 parts to this. There is a $1,000 non-recurring cost onboarding, which we should pay for out of our technology fund, sinking fund, which I of course have to find again, but I know there's money in there. And the balance of this will be paid for out of the fire department's annual operating budget. Going forward into budget season, we should create a separate line item for the fire department, specifically for these types of softwares as a service, which as laws and everything progress and requirements is going to be an ongoing issue that we should budget for appropriately. But these are, like I said, we're $850 over what we're paying today per annum. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of Alpine Software Records Management System for the Arlington Fire Department with a one-time non-recurring cost for onboarding of $1,000 to be paid for from our technology sinking fund, and the balance $6,495 per annum to be paid January 1st with a 3% uplift over the period of 5 years.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Karen to approve the contract for the Alpine software for the recovery management.
Records management.
Records management. Just point of discussion. I'm very much in favor of this because when we started doing insurance billings a number of years ago, it was all manual.
Yeah.
And things got dicey and what got lost and didn't get reported. And finally, the insurance companies said, we're just not gonna pay it. Period. So for quite some time, it's kind of been offline. So this
It
is a
has.
really good thing, and the income produced from those claims
Help offset consumables as well.
will go into the truck sinking fund, and that will help offset our escalation of pricing in that line.
Right.
So,
We got training from them too.
Yeah, on site.
yeah, training guys how to use the system makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, Brian.
So another thing that this will help you with too is, if we get into as far as the building or any of that nuisance, we can pull data sheets quicker than we've ever been able to. So right now,
Absolutely.
Assistant Chief Marco creates all the data sheets off of like an Excel or Word or something like that.
Mhm.
We can go in, pull a
Do it right off
location,
the app.
we can set a date, time, and we'll have that information within minutes. So
I think, it's like, right now, there's 10 file cabinets with information in it, right? And this brings it down to one file cabinet, if you will.
Yeah.
That's a really easy way to put
Yeah.
it, so.
So unless there's any other discussion, I will call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Would you sign the contract?
Yep.
And I will transmit that tomorrow. I will let the, other two respondents know that they did not win the RFP. And when I have a fully executed document, I will send that to you, Janet, for records.
Now, Matt, do we reach back out to them? Can we start onboarding before the January or no?
Oh, absolutely. So they'll assign a project manager. And once the project manager is assigned, then they will reach out to you and, Assistant Chief Marco to start scheduling that and working through it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
We anticipate 4 to 6 week onboarding, which will work out. There may be a little gap in your rig checks, but just print some sheets and do it manually for the time being.
Yeah, there will be, because that one's number ended on the 17th.
Yeah, they didn't want to give us a courtesy
There you
extension. So,
I'll be in touch with them.
Okay. and that's the other, I don't know, contracts for our other platforms that we use. I've never seen, so I don't know if there's auto renewal clauses in there, but we should send them, PS Tracks and the other two, we should send them notification that we are not renewing. I don't know where to find those contracts. I'm happy to do that.
We've
if I
had
can
them
find
for
it.
years, I know.
Do you have contacts there?
I have a contact for who's responding, and the Chief Marco, I have a contact for IAR.
You guys could send me the contacts for all three of those. I have a boilerplate termination letter that, effective at the end of the contract term to not auto renew, and I'm happy to send that and send copies to Cynthia and Janet for our records as well. Okay?
And let's not pick for.
Yeah, we're not double paying it, so that's why I want to make sure that we just terminate those, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to send those termination letters.
Overlap on the IAR and
There will.
those responding, because they weren't like at the beginning of the year type bills,
Yeah,
so.
but we just want to make sure we don't pay for them again
Yeah,
for
yeah.
something that we're not going to use, so. Thank you.
Okay, so that's dealt with. The next item is under fire department. It's the agreement between Cambridge and Arlington for the coverage of Blackhole Hollow.
Yeah, and the version that you have is not, the corrections have not been completed. I think she wanted you to look at it to make sure it was the language you wanted.
Yep.
The dates have to be corrected, and she has that in the notes, although it may not show in what's printed. It's the bottom of, in section 3, is it like the second or the third, maybe the third
Section
page?
6 governing law and
Section
venue.
6 at the bottom of the third page. So that's how she changed it, and I think she just wanted to be sure that was correct. I mean, it looked correct to
This is
me.
the lawyer.
And if you want to approve it in this corrected version, you could approve it with those corrections. Dan could even sign it tonight and I get a clean copy. And then we move forward with this. We can wait to approve the clean copy at next meeting. Or Dan can come in
I'm
and sign
fine
it later. I mean,
approving it with the red lines and just sending it to Cambridge and.
because then they can know what we did.
If they countersign it, then they agree to it, and if they don't, we can,
Okay.
negotiate.
Further negotiate.
Okay, that's good. That's good guidance for me. Thank you.
Yeah, she changed the governing law and venue of action was my
That was
sticking
that
point,
was
as well as the
yeah.
date, and I know that there was a note in the PDF around, fixing the dates, but this.
Section 3.
Section 3 and the
yeah.
front page.
Yeah, and this is, we're signing the agreement after the fact for most of the year.
Yeah.
So I think an important note for Cambridge is that they should be Johnny on the spot in January.
And update their new address.
Oh, do you think that's the question? Do you think that, so this is not for 2026?
Under this agreement, it
This is-
says that it's for January 1 to
I know
December
that. I thought they
31st.
I
just
think
didn't
it's
change the
supposed to be
dates.
for 26.
I think it's supposed to be for
Okay.
26.
Because we did this,
Yeah,
The dates need to
Yeah.
be changed,
then dates
Yeah.
need to be changed.
correct.
but the language is correct.
Yeah, the rest of the language is
As
correct.
corrected.
Okay, okay, then I'll go ahead and we'll fix the dates and we'll send it with the red lines. Dan can sign it and we'll see what they say.
So I'll make a motion to approve the fire services agreement with the Village of Cambridge, New York. The presented contract with the red lines under section 6 and correction of the dates under section 3.
In the beginning.
No, the date at the beginning is fine because that's the date that we're approving it, which will still need to be modified because it's no longer the 15th day of September 2025.
Right, right.
So,
I'm gonna make that November 3rd.
yeah, make
That's
that
good.
November 3rd. So, with those corrections,
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to approve the agreement with Cambridge for fire coverage in Blackwell Hall. With the stated corrections and date changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. This is signed, Cynthia, so.
Thank you.
Forward that.
And Dan, at
as
this point, I believe we have some members of the Energy Committee here.
Okay,
So I wondered if we could jump down to
Let's
that
do that.
agenda item so they can,
so we're gonna.
ending on fire?
I did get your
Yeah.
iPads. Your iPads came in, but they're not onboarded yet, and we should wait to work out this path.
This one, is updated here, is done later. We did have to change it a little bit because the boots had to be ordered and paid for right then. So you will see a less amount for our gear because the boot that we usually get is out of stock. They're not gonna redo it until February, so they're not gonna put that same boot. So I had to take boots, different boots that he had, but that were in stock. But we had to buy them then so that when our gear showed up, those wouldn't be gone too.
Yep.
Because there's some changes coming in boots down the line down in February, so they're not building new boots right now until the changes from
makes sense,
NFPA come.
makes sense.
You'll see a little bit of a less price than what you approved of the gear because I had to take it right from the new equipment to pay for the boots.
Okay,
Just kind
You know.
of split invoices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else, Brian?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna skip ahead to the Energy Committee appointments. And there's a few members here. The whole reason we did this is so that members know the faces. It's as simple as that. There's nothing nefarious or anything that we're trying to do. We just want to put a face to a name.
It's a nice opportunity.
Yeah.
No problem. It's a good opportunity for us some of us to reintroduce ourselves and for some of us to meet you for the first time. Not for me to meet you for the first time, but it's good to see you all. I guess I'll start if you all
Yeah,
don't
you
mind.
can just go around the room and name all the-
Okay, so I'm Stephanie Moffett-Hines, the chair of the committee. And, first of all, when I discovered that all of our, terms had expired, I was so surprised. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, all of our, and I don't know how that happened. And so one of the things that I wanted to find out from you all is, you know, is that my responsibility? Because if it is, I'm so sorry. And I'd like to know what the protocol is going forward so I can make sure if I'm still in this role that I
I
can.
don't know that it was your fault. It was kind of just it's a changeover from the town administrator. It just kind of got dropped through the cracks.
But I think it
But
actually
you know what I mean?
expired a year or so ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Before, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, so
So it was just
what I
something
think
that
that we
just
need to
didn't
do
get done.
is have a record in the computer, in your file and in your paper file of when we're making these appointments and obviously put when they're gonna expire.
Yeah, and then
And
have it on
both,
the calendar.
and then have it on the calendar for not just you, because it may not be you, but for the committee as a whole and for the town. And then between the two of them and Janet's the one that really keeps track. So as long as it's in Janet's office.
All right, Janet, you hearing that?
Yeah.
I make a suggestion that, you know, in the town report, right, we
can
have
put it
our
there.
town officers
Yeah.
who are appointed and our school district officers.
And the
I wonder
terms.
if we, in the terms, I
Right.
wonder if we should add a page in the town report that also includes
committee
appointees to
members.
committees.
Maybe the planning commission, if they're not there now. I don't-
Exactly,
you know,
because I mean, Board of
maybe.
Adjustment and Planning Commission are listed under the town officers as
Okay.
appointed. Oh, no, Energy Committee, look at that, it's right here.
Are the members
The
listed?
members.
They are.
They are. I wonder if it's up to date. Well, what
I don't
I've
know,
done-
but it's a good place for us. I mean, I refer to this all the time.
But we can have the members and then the terms and
The
when
term
they
would be
expire.
good.
And then we'll have a record in the town report and that's better than anything
Yeah.
else.
Okay,
It's a
wonderful.
great idea.
On our website, it's real, our information is really outdated. There are people who aren't on the committee anymore and people who have been on for 2 years aren't
So
on.
the town website,
Yeah, so.
yeah, we're working.
That's
That's
on
a
our
survey.
website.
Early
It's not really
discussion. Karen's working
That's
on that.
wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop by and see Robin and Susan next week. And maybe I could just clean it up for now.
Yeah,
And
well, no
so-
information
At the
would
very
be
least,
better
we could
than
get you
wrong
the names.
information.
Yeah, why don't you give me the names and then I can clean
I'll
that up.
remember this.
Yeah.
All right, that
Well,
sounds
if
great.
when the board makes the appointments, then you'll have the
Right.
new names and they can go up.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, so that's great. Thank you very much. Before I say a little bit about me, it's more important for me to be able to talk about the members of the committee, both those people who are serving on it now and those who have all along. Because they are a phenomenal group. I am the least qualified person to be on this committee of everybody who's ever served on it. And I'm not just saying that to say, you know, to be humble. It is the truth. I have been just amazed by the people that come forward to serve this town on this committee. The depth of their knowledge and their experience and their professions, their lifelong experience, and what they've brought to it, whether it's from the solar industry, being out there in the field, or as scientists. And you've heard from some a couple weeks ago. And so you're getting a sense of that. And then from this group here today. So it's just been, you already, I think I sent a message to Cynthia. I don't know if it got to all of you. I can't remember or if it was just Dan, if maybe you saw it, but for what it's worth, my recommendation, having worked with them since 2019, is to, I wholeheartedly would want every single one of them to be reappointed who wants to be, for whatever the terms can be worked out. Okay, so then why, I guess you might want to know, why do I want to do this? Like, why am I doing this? And that's a great question. Really, I would say that it's for 3 reasons. The first one is actually 2. First reason is Wally Hines and Flory Hines, because at the core of what I'm doing is my deep love for the natural world and concern for it. So I transparently come from a background of just being of loving nature and being a protector of nature since I was a tiny little girl, and have been all my life. And so I've been really, this has been something that's been on my radar constantly. Watching what what's happening to the planet, the things that I love, the promising things that are out there that I have to look up all the time, which I'm glad to know about, but also the very real things that are coming down the pike that we're already seeing. We're certainly seeing it in our state with the flooding, et cetera, and the need to be resilient. So it's for love of my children, but not just my children. And I don't mean to be on my soapbox, but this is really important to me. We are in such a divided time, and it makes me so sad. I never want to see this. It's really hard, and we see it even in our own town sometimes. But that's not the way I see this situation at all. I mean, everything that I'm doing is for all the children. I don't see it as red or blue or purple or polka dotted. We're here together, and all the things that are coming down are going to affect all of us. And I love my family. I love this community. I raised my kids here. This is my home. I love Arlington. Jamie's son and my son were best friends for the longest time. This is a very, very special place, and I want to serve. So, but I have to say, it was interesting in 2019, just so you know how this came about. In 2019, I went to a big meeting that the Bennington County Regional Planning Commission called together anybody who was interested in possibly creating these energy communities for their towns. And it was nascent. I mean, Dorset had a really great one established, but there weren't that many around. And so I was wondering, what is this thing? And Marianne and I were at this meeting in particular, and it was held over in the library here, and people came from around the county, and they said, listen, a lot's going to be happening. Don't care what you believe in, the science says a lot is coming down the pipe. Plus, our legislature, and Cynthia knows all about this, is making decisions, and there will be more decisions made. So for your town to be well positioned, to understand what's going on, your select boards do not have time to be doing any more than they're already doing, and they're going to have even more to do. And so therefore, there need to be people who will step forward to say, okay, we'll follow this, and we'll research this, and we'll try to understand what's going on. You want to have a seat at the table. You want to be ready for what's happening, and to be of service, to support your select board, support your town and your residents, and also to try to be aware of any funding that's available. If you don't have a seat at the table, it's hard to get that. So there's more to the story, but I remember looking over at Marianne and I said, we're going to have to do this. So I thought, oh my God, I don't have time for this. But anyway, so it started, I thought, well, I'll just do it for a year or two. That was 2019. We've never missed a meeting all through COVID and everything. We've never had a meeting not meet for lack of quorum, which is crazy to me. I mean, these are such busy people with such full lives. Here comes another busy person, but we, what it's like. The people who come forward are
Sure.
Anyway. So here we are, and let me just say, there's one other thing I want to tell you. I was just at a VCAN conference on Saturday. The Vermont Energy and Climate Action Network. There's so many acronyms in the state, driving me crazy, but it was a fantastic conference all day. I served on a panel to talk about the best practices on how energy committees interact with their town leadership. And on this panel were chairs of energy committees, but also select board members, and that was critical. The Vermont League of Towns and Cities, Bonnie, started things off by providing context. I learned some things that I wish I had known when we had started. And by the way, we started off as just an advisory committee, purely. I mean, like, we weren't appointed. And then after a couple of years, we became an appointed committee. But I learned so much just this past Saturday from that select board member, the select board members and other people in the audience. And it just sort of underscores what I would love to see happen is that, and what I want to understand what you would like in terms of communication. I mean, if I am appointed to continue with the committee, it's really important for me to understand what's your preference for how we communicate with you. Is it email? Is it one person? Does it go through our town administrator? We had Nick for a while, and so we thought we were communicating well because he was attending your meetings and all of ours. So we thought that's great. And he was the energy coordinator. I don't think we have an energy coordinator now. Is that correct? And I don't know if anybody wants to step up to do that, but there's that, which would be a wonderful thing. But in the meantime, I think it's important that, you know, we as a committee, somebody needs to be coming to the select board meetings on a fairly regular basis, just to understand the context of how we fit into everything else that's going on that you have on your plates. It's really important. And then also to understand things like, well, if all of you, if like what is on your agenda, if you've got all these things you're trying to prepare for the town meeting, for example, you can't just come in and say, okay, well, we want to do this now. And can you do, like, we have to understand how we fit in, be able to give you maybe a one-page summary of a proposal or something and say, and in advance and say, this is what we're thinking about this. What do you think? And can we get on the agenda to discuss this? That sort of thing. It's not that we've never done that, but I mean, I'd like to find a way to work as well as possible. We want to work with you and alongside you, and I want this to be a really successful committee. And I want it to, not that we haven't been, I'm really, really proud of the work of this committee, but I want us, you know, as we chart things in the future, you know, I would love for you all to come to us and say, hey, can you go research this thing? Can you tell us, like we're looking at these things. We're using your carbon tracking tool. We see what's going on, but like we're wondering about these 4 possibilities in this building, the town garage, for example, or whatever it is. The person that's made the estimate that you're going to send about the heat pumps.
Well, yeah, since you raised that, I think that ultimately it would be good if I could come to at least some of your meetings. I think that would be the goal. I just can't promise you when I'm going to be able to do that, but the select board is going to be looking at the report from the architect and her recommendations on what action should be taken in this building and in the town garage. And after the board has had a chance to look at it, I thought I would send it to you guys. And then we have to go through a process of taking initial steps, doing blower tests, contracting, and figuring out what the grant will pay for. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But because you guys were part of starting that process, I think you should at least be informed where we are now, and you might have useful suggestions at that stage. But I want the board to have a chance to see the report first. But that would be my next step is that I would be sending you that report, and you can review it on your own, and then I can try to come to a meeting and we can discuss it further and try to get the back and forth on.
That's wonderful.
And Stephanie, to answer your question on how to communicate, in my opinion, I'd like to see just, you know, a report to the select board on a somewhat regular cadence. Maybe that's once every 2 meetings, or I don't know how often you meet, but.
Well, so that makes me sad that you don't know how often we meet, you know, because we meet every month, and we were meeting every 2 weeks for, like 2 years.
So, you know.
No, I understand. And then we have our minutes that we publish, and we, you know, put them on.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset with you. I'm just saying it makes me sad, because there you go. Like, it should be every single energy committee member should always be reading all of the minutes from the select board. And we would love to know that somebody is reading our minutes too, but you don't have time to be reading everybody's. I understand.
I'm happy to read, like, if we get a consolidated report that maybe isn't the minutes, but just kind of like I'm thinking like an executive dashboard or an executive overview, right? That comes to the CEO that just says, hey, these are the top 5 bullet points or 3 bullet points, the 1 bullet point that we covered in the last 2 meetings, right? That's all I really need to know.
Perfect.
And that helps me.
Yeah.
And also remember when they did give us the report about Red Mountain Forest and their recommendations. So when they had something they needed to deliver to us, they did do that. And so anytime you have something like that, obviously you want to bring it to the board.
And then the other thing is, though, I'm not gonna, like, I don't know who to send it to. Like, I don't know if,
I think
the
it would
past,
go
I
to
only went to
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Yeah,
and
would
she'll
disperse
put
it
in
to
our
us.
report packet.
Okay.
That is.
Okay.
And then email, if you want to get it to us get it to her and she distributes it to us.
Perfect. That's what I thought.
And
The last thing you want is a bunch of emails.
almost
flying around.
everything that comes in that's, has any significance, she always forwards it to all
Or
of
it can
us.
get
so we
included
all
in the
see it.
board
Or it
packet,
gets
and just
included
as
in the board packet.
informational for us.
And you may want to do, I'm not saying you have to do a report every 2 months, but maybe at least quarterly.
I think quarterly,
Yeah.
I mean, even if
Yeah.
it's just, as Matt said, that summarizes what you've been reviewing at the, and discussing at the
And it
meetings.
doesn't
You
have
may
to
not
be
always
just
have
a
a big
one-page
thing, yeah.
highlight.
Page,
Yeah.
you know, executive
It's
summary.
gonna be longer,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then too, obviously, when things come up, like when we, every now and then, we'll make a, there's a motion to do something that we have to bring to you, and we've been doing that.
Yeah.
But I think, I think I've made the assumption that we've been more in contact than we actually have been. Because, well, we had Nick, and then there's been, well, I don't know, plus I was kind of out of action a bit last year, and thank you, Karen, so much for.
I think with the departure of Nick, it's got just a little disjointed and we've had a lot of moving parts and pieces. So
Yeah.
this is a good conversation to.
Yeah, and I mean, and this is a
Back together.
renewal point because we're gonna do these reappointments. There are some new members, get started, keep track, better communication. We gotta renew things every once in a while.
And we're working on an orientation packet for anybody who does come on, so they can understand how things, like what their responsibilities are, what the accountability is. One of the things I'm really careful about, because Nick was very careful about this, is making sure that we're not veering into things that we're not supposed to be veering into. So I'm really passionate about getting things done. I really want to get things done and follow through, but there are things that I don't think we should be doing as an energy committee. There are things that I think we should be doing. And there are a lot of ideas. One of the things that I do, I'm always asking, I'm saying, are you sure that's a part of, that's really in our purview? But the things that are, then I want to do a better job. I don't always do it as good a job as I'd like in following through and making sure something happens. You all are more the engines that make that happen.
And Cynthia, as town administrator, can help you navigate the purview as to whether that's within the
So, yeah.
committee's.
Yeah, and that's what Nick was always
Guardrails
so good
or
about too.
lines.
Great.
Sure.
And then, and also, obviously, once we pull our thing together, we'd like to share it with you and say, what do you think of this? How does this look? So that's one of many things that we're working on. We're meeting on Wednesday night, so we have a lot to do there. There were some other things I was gonna say, but I've taken up way too much time. Marianne has served on the committee for a long time, and now she's an alternate. Are we are all acting as like,
I put her down that she would be
As
an
an
alternate.
okay, and so I just, shall I just turn it to you next?
I'm just an alternate now. By the grace of God and all good things. Steph does a great job, as do the other members, but I'm willing to step in, especially when we need a forum. And I do go to all of the meetings. So I have been involved with this from the beginning.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a point about heat pumps.
Mhm.
If you're looking at them, the people that provide them know exactly how much you need, what would be necessary. I watched Amy go through this. She heat pumps the barn.
Well, we have
So-
had, we had initial experts calculate, and now the architect has gone through and calculated in detail based on the use of the room, how many people,
Good.
all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I just
So
want to say that.
we're
it's
not just
very-
gonna get a heat pump, we're gonna get
No,
what
it's very-
exactly.
It's very
Yeah.
possible and
Yeah.
they all know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jenny, do you have any?
I'm Jenny Murtaugh. I'm one of the newer members of the committee. Moved to Arlington in 2020, so it's just coming up in 5 years, and joined the committee shortly after that. Like Steph, I was drawn to the committee, mostly my love of nature, and interest in environmental issues and also public service. Shortly after moving from upstate New York, I resigned after 10 years as New York State Bluebird Society president. Before that, I was involved with this local, state, and national chapters of the Wildlife Society, a professional organization. And so I guess I just have not gone long without having some sort of volunteer or board or some kind of role. And the Energy Committee seemed like a good fit. I still work for New York State, although I do live here full-time in Arlington. I'm a wildlife biologist, ecologist for New York State DAC, and have a master's degree in wildlife biology. So I finding ways to connect those interests and some of my professional knowledge with the work the committee is doing has been a lot of fun. Some of the projects I'm looking forward to working on are as we move forward with the carbon tracker and mitigation piece of that, if we do end up providing recommendations on our public lands and how to manage them for carbon sequestration. I also would like to try to balance that with some of the other needs for our forests, wildlife management, habitat management, recreational opportunities. Those sorts of areas are where I can kind of connect my expertise to the committee. I've really enjoyed working with this group of people since I joined too. So I'm hoping to continue.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I'm Karen Lee, and Jenny is one of my good friends. She did not know what to say before she walked in this room. I think you did a good job.
You're just fine.
Really, very cute.
Except that I don't think she's actually really accurately reflecting. She's a scientist and she knows a whole lot of stuff. And
She
she's
knows a lot
knocked
of
our
stuff.
socks off with
Yeah,
what she
she
understands about forest composition and wildlife and the things that she does out in the field are fascinating.
It is,
You can have to take her out
absolutely
for coffee too.
And I'm Karen Lee. I don't really know why I'm here. Because I was on the Energy Committee, not since the very beginning. I missed that meeting. I guess I was out of town, which is why, one of the reasons I recently retired from the Energy Committee. It wasn't because I don't love the work of the Energy Committee and do not intend to continue to work on behalf of the Energy Committee and work as a volunteer on behalf of the town, particularly with regard to energy matters. But I do go south in the winter. I'm gone for a long time, for 5 months. So I felt it was better for someone else. So very specifically, because I knew he was moving to Arlington, I figured he was really, really good to have on the committee. So I stepped back. I offered to be a third alternate, if you'd like a third alternate on the committee. I have made a commitment to Stephanie, to everybody who is on the committee. And by the way, this is absolutely, I'm not exaggerating, the dream team. We have the most amazing group of diversified education experience and high level knowledge and passion about this particular topic. It blows my mind. Every time I go and have a meeting with these people, it's like, wow. I mean, it really,
How does this happen? But isn't that wonderful about this town though?
it really,
Yeah,
we have
it's
in this
plays out
little
everywhere.
teeny town, a higher percentage of very amazing people than anywhere I could ever imagine. And so I've got lots of background energy. You guys know me, and for the most part, solar and energy retrofits and blah, 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 a lot of energy stuff. But I'm not actually on the committee. But I will be here and they have access to me all the time, and I will continue to try to support the committee however I can.
Okay, so I actually do not have you down as an alternate. I did not know.
I don't know how many, I always thought we could only have two alternates. I don't know.
I'm just here as an interested citizen.
Okay, and you're welcome, and we just appreciate your
Yeah.
service so much, and I hope you can keep coming,
I will.
you know, when you're in town. But I think I have Garrett as an alternate
Yes,
and Mary
and
Ann as an
Mary Ann, yes.
alternate. Okay,
Correct.
but we appreciate your.
I'm just changing sitting over here making my 2 cents.
Okay.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Joan Nash. I am your land use administrator. And in addition to that, I serve on the energy committee, and I'm kind of the nerd.
Oh.
I'm the one that tracks all the stuff makes the tracking tool, spits out the reports and the charts, and I
There's
used
some
to,
nifty new pivot charts too.
I used to work on large databases for a company. It was not Experian, but it was like Experian, and we had huge amounts of customer data, and I did all that stuff for those kind of databases. So I just made a mini database with all of the fuel usage and everything, and I made it easy so that I can very quickly print out a summary of whatever you want to look at. And I'm looking forward to sitting down with Cynthia sometime soon and showing her what I can do. And then, maybe you all can tell me what it is you really would like to see. And that this is something that may not even have anything to do with energy consumption per se, maybe to do with budgeting. so that you can see like, 2 or 3 years worth of information on how much fuel was used, what it cost us. I could even put in a column that projects, we think it's going to go up 10% this year. What's that going to cost us? And I just put that all into one report, very easy. So anyway, I look forward to working with you all.
The thing about that too is like, I think about all the filing cabinets, right? With all of those warrants and all those things. And the fact that you looked at every single one and put it down. And then Joni said, that's great. Now we've done that. Now let me do it again. She has double and triple checked every single thing that's gone into this. So it's been, it's a, I want us to use this tool. I want the town to benefit from this tool.
And I do think that the question of the changes over time is significant because what we've spent is actually in the town reports as well. If you look at the yearly, what we actually spend, if you go back and look through them. But most of the time, like when we're doing our budget, we're looking at last year and this year.
Right.
We're not necessarily looking at the 10-year trend, which may or may not tell us anything, and then there's inflation and other kinds of things. But I think having a tool that can track those costs in some cases might be enlightening. So I think that's a very interesting
And
thing.
speaking of the town report, we're going to have a discussion on Wednesday night, but I don't know how this would work exactly, but about the town tracking, the carbon tracking tool, and maybe we should call it energy tracking tool in many ways as well, but it's and energy savings, all kinds of things, but I think most people have no idea that it even exists. And that's on us. How do we make, I was thinking if we could have a page in the town report, what would be tough for us? I mean, we already do a page, but I mean, a graphic, a page where we could show, here's an example of what this is and a pie chart to show it. What we're afraid of is that without more context, people will understand it. The last thing we want to do is have the highway committee upset with us, for example, because we show that diesel is our biggest, and it's not because we're saying, no, we all need them and love them. It's not that, but it's just showing what's there. So we're trying to figure out, and if you looked at the charts for the years, there'll be this funky dip. We know that it's COVID and we know some other thing, but so just, we're trying to figure out, could we do a truncated, we did a presentation for you that was, we had time to lay it all out, but how can we share with the town so that they know, oh, I get it. I see what this is. And, I mean,
You could definitely have a handout at the table for town meeting and for election day. the
And
next
that,
day.
if you do that handout, it could be long enough to provide some context.
Yeah.
that's interesting. You think that would be okay?
Yeah, handouts are, because everybody, there's always different
That table.
handouts at that
Yeah.
table. And then as we work on the town website, if
The
we make some
website would be-
improvements there, that's where we really would like to drive people, because that way you're not really putting materials in print form that
Yeah.
become outdated before they're
Yeah.
distributed, right?
Exactly.
So that would be, I think, the ultimate goal is really to drive engagement through the town website and also drive additional engagement for our residents of Arlington to the town website. Yeah.
At the conference, there were several people hearing about our tool, and they said, well, our town would like it, our town would like it, and I was like, okay, and they said, well, can you go to your website? And I said, well, not yet.
You should start selling, market that thing, sell it.
Yeah, well, actually,
Royalty.
may I just say, in a way that sounds like a wonderful idea, but do you know that in creating it, the whole idea was that we wanted this to be available to
It should
anybody
be. It
on the
should be.
planet.
Yeah.
Towns are spending $30,000 to get there, to do this kind of thing with software and hiring people are saying, no, you know what?
That's what I want to say. She did this. Hundreds of volunteer hours. I can't even begin to tell you. Hundreds of volunteer hours. And I appreciate you so much.
Well, we appreciate your work. Thank you.
We've taken up a lot of time, but thank you. It really is so nice to actually have had this time to be with you. It's been really good. Yes.
So just so it's reciprocal, we're gonna go around the table and introduce ourselves.
Oh, all right.
I'm Dan Harvey, I'm the chair. Karen, you
I'm,
can just go right
I
around.
Dan, you're
just,
supposed
I
to
just
say
got
that
here.
you're Dan Harvey and you're going to retire, but which you say every year. This is Dan Harvey who's
Well,
perpetually retiring.
I
But
was
who's
going
been
to,
here
and then
40,
public had
40,
several, 30,
39 years.
at the end of this term will be 39. I might make it to 30. but 38, 39 is about where it's gonna be. But they
I've only
didn't-
lived
they
here
didn't-
48 years.
Yeah, well, I came in here free. They didn't tell me what time.
I got you.
Be
We
careful
came in
when you say
78.
yes. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
be careful when you volunteer. for something.
And even if you go off, you end up back on.
Right?
That's right.
You become a
So,
legacy
go ahead,
member.
Karen.
Yeah, I'm Karen Philcast. I'm new to the board. I'm just being an interim until March when the election started and I'm taking over for something like that. I'm a graphic designer, so that's what I was gonna say. You know us. Stephanie.
Yes, I know, but I,
We're birders.
Yeah.
So if you need help with that, I'd be happy to do it. And I'm also gonna be probably working on the website and doing that. And I'll probably end up doing the annual report. I had done it a couple of years ago, so.
Is it appropriate for me, here's another protocol thing, is it appropriate for me to come to you or a couple of people to come to you and say, here's what we would love to see on the site, here's short-term, longer term.
How
How does that work?
That'd be
Well,
fine, just don't email more than 2
Right,
from the board.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really
For
careful
open
about
meeting
that.
laws. So-
And I think that
there's
there's stages, right now, we would like to get what the website we have a little bit more up to date. And then having a new website that has better capacity.
Right, so
with
short-term.
a better interactive capacity, but we don't know when that's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah,
So the first thing would be to try to work with Robin and figure out a way to update what we have, because it's better than nothing. I mean, you can go on and find a lot of information, but it should be up-to-date information. We should at least up-to-date everything about the Energy Committee and contact information. So if they want to find out about the tool or the meetings, they can at least know who to contact.
And right now I use my personal email for everything, which is, I hope that can change at some point, that there would be, I was told that the town couldn't afford to have another email account, so my email's out there, my personal one for everything, and that's how people contact me.
Yeah, we'll figure out. that
It's just the way it
going
is now, but,
Yeah.
But, so if I'm hearing you correctly, though, I should, if I want to reach out to you, say, hey, can we get together, a couple of us come meet with you? I will send that email to you and
Yeah,
copy
the-
Cindy.
the-
out.
the-
Yeah.
Two of them are working on the website.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine for you to contact individual board members,
Right.
on anything. If
Yeah.
the only thing is, if
Really?
there's a document that the full committee wants to send to the board, Dan's just saying, send it to
That sort of
me.
thing.
So they're not
Yeah.
just getting all these.
If you're gonna come over and talk and get accosted by the dogs, you're more than welcome to stop by,
That's right.
okay?
But to reinforce.
They'll
the
just
point,
lick you and leave you
Don't
with hair.
email individually three of us, because that violates.
Right, we can't do
Right.
three.
Yeah, very well, so we just.
It's kind
But
of,
yeah, you're welcome to
We're-
and
contact
it's
them.
also important.
There you go.
But the two of them are working on the website.
If you've got a paper that you have to do, then you want it.
What's that?
That's awesome.
That's me. I can just-
Introduce
Great,
yourself.
Kara, thank you.
Oh.
That's really great.
Is it to me? I'm
Yes,
Matt
sure, sure.
Bykowski. I've been on the board, off the board, back on the board. I'm happy to be here. I'm always happy to help. I am probably more of the business side.
IT role. So-
I'm the IT guy, but I'm large enterprise business. So, me and I want my ROI. So,
Yeah, and that's for the.
Yep. But absolutely. And if any of you have questions or anything, I'm always usually available, or I'll get back to you within a day. So just feel free to reach out. Most of you probably know where I live.
Normally right there would be Glenn Sherman. He's leaving for Colorado in a couple hours, so he's not here. I am Jamie Caustian. I'm on my second term on the select board, and a lot goes on here.
Thanks for all of you. for serving.
So-
I feel like mine's like the share tour, right? I'm like, leave farewell, and then I'm back at it again. I was on the school board at one point as well, so.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for all the information.
Does that include all of them?
Well, someone let me know
Everybody,
about-
everybody
Oh,
has
yeah.
been here. I was thinking two
Someone let me know
motions
if
to
any
list
of
for
us
the.
should be recording. I'll
Boards, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
We're gonna do that. So I'll make a motion to approve the Arlington Energy Committee appointments for 3 2-year terms. Stephanie Moffett Hines, Mary Ann Holmes, Bill LaBerge,
and Garrett Siegel as alternate. And do we want to do, we can do them all as one
Okay,
motion.
whatever you want.
And for the 4 one-year terms, Joan Nash, Alex Ernst, Marty Crane, Jenny Murtaugh, and Mary Ann Carlson as alternate.
There's a second.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to appoint the slate of officers for the Energy Committee as stated. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Congratulations.
Motion
Thank
carried.
you so much.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you for all the time.
You're official.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, so now that you're.
All right, the next item is town hall repairs.
Yeah, I don't have a lot, except to say that I have, started arranging for the repairs to the boiler that the inspectors required. And I've got Adams Locksmith coming to deal with the back door, the door at the head of the stairs
Thank you.
here.
Okay.
And so, so I'm working on that. That's all,
All
that's
right.
all I have for that.
All right, new business. Lister's office status 9.1.
So as you all know, most sadly, we lost Earl Bat, last week, and I hope everybody has signed the card that's gone around. Is that somewhere?
It's right here.
Yes.
I want to make sure Jenna gets that. Okay, so that's good. So these are signed. And Joe Garger has sent in a letter saying that he's gonna retire at the end of this year. So his term runs until March and he's gonna retire December 31st. And he certainly deserves his retirement.
For sure.
And that will, and again, long serving, he and Earl both served the town for a long time. So that really leaves us just with Lee Cross. And she does go to Florida, during some of the winter months. She's able to do handle inquiries and things over the winter, and their busy season starts in April. So it's not the end of the world. And we have a number of options in terms of trying to get people to run for Lister, or looking back at the question of appointing an assessor, which, remember, we had something on the ballot about doing this, and I can investigate that further. Lee and Joan have actually discussed having Joan Nash, who was just here, helping Lee as an assistant, which is something that we could do. I checked with Nick this morning and they're not conflicting. Joan could probably run for Lister if she wanted. They're not conflicting positions. So, so we can face 2026 knowing that we have Lee and Joan as an assistant. But I think if we could find someone who might be interested, that we could appoint even just for a little while, and then they run. I don't know. And I think I need to do more research about how we would go from having the elected to the appointed, because I just don't remember the timing of that. So
I
we
think
can,
given our juncture where we're at, I'd like to also investigate moving from the elected to the appointed assessor.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
we
think
should
it makes,
revisit that.
I think it makes sense, and where we are now shows that in fact that was a good option. We just may, it
Right.
just
It was
wasn't.
timing
It
wasn't
was just
right.
timing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And people need to
Yep.
do things at their own pace. So I will try to flesh out the option of having an appointed or hired assessor. And I don't believe it's the same as with a treasurer where, there was this question if we had to do it, and then, I don't know, there was a timing issue. So I've got to investigate that, and I'm sorry, I'm not further
No, it's
along with
okay.
that, but that's where we are. So I will try to investigate and flesh that out for the next time.
Okay. Was there an energy committee report?
Yes, and I did email it to you. I don't think I made paper copies.
Oh,
for
yeah,
everybody. I'm
that's
not
the
sure-
from
I'm not
Centerline,
sure
right?
Why, it says Centerline on it. And I can make, paper copies for people, but I know I emailed it to you.
Well, if you emailed it, maybe it was revealing if there's anything.
I think
to discuss.
it would be good if you could actually, look through it, because I started writing a summary, and first of all, it was completely repetitive, because I basically.
It's basically a
Was
summary. I
re-saying
mean, it's an
what she
executive
said.
summary that they
But
sent.
the one thing that I want to highlight that's very interesting to me is that she was so thorough, and as I was just saying to Stephanie, she didn't just do the square footage of the room. She looked at how is the room used? When is it used? How many people are in the room? And so we had been talking about having a heat pump in the garage and how that was such a great idea. And she said, actually, no, because that building, the doors are open so much. And a heat pump, you have to have
It's
a minimum
maintained
level. It's just-
steady. It's not.
it's not gonna work. So we could certainly get a more efficient boiler. And she wants more insulation, better windows, you know, so there are things, and like the doors, one of the doors is not insulated and they have to seal properly. So there's lots of things to do for the garage, but just this automatic, oh, let's do a heat pump. No, actually,
No.
it's not gonna work.
No.
But it would, but she thinks it would work in the town hall. She wants us to replace the 2 windows on the landing and stairwell that are still the old ones. I think we've replaced all the other windows. There are some windows in the back, and you'll see that I crossed out where she had replacing them, because those windows are all in places like the closet and the stairwell. We can close those off. They've got the window dresser inserts.
Mhm.
So I just don't think that's a priority for Spectrum.
We're not gonna gain in that
Right,
much.
so
from the
she says
small windows.
after we replace those 2 windows, then we do a blower test and find out what needs to be sealed.
Yep.
And then the question of the heat pumps, which would be to do cooling as well as the heating. And, the next steps are for me to to find out exactly what the grant can cover of her recommendations. And, you know, to try to start to think about contractors and RFPs and,
Yep.
you know, that kind of stuff. But I was very, I really thought that it made sense to have her do that, because it isn't just, oh, let's get heat pumps for every room. That isn't.
And
That's
it
not
makes sense
necessarily-
because they're doing it from the lens of a commercial building, so they're looking at maximum occupancy.
Right, it's not a
and people
24/7 building.
No, it
you know,
isn't,
it's
but
like-
it's different than a residential or a small office where you just have 4 people that's very consistent all the
Right.
time,
Right.
right? There could be a meeting or something happening here where we're full and we've got, 25 people in the room. And that changes your heating and cooling load appropriate,
Right.
exponentially. So
Right.
I did read that today. And I thought it was a very good summary, and I think, Centerline's on the right track for us, with regards to those recommendations.
So I would encourage the board to take a look at it. And, you know, she summarizes it all, and then she goes into detail. So I think it's pretty easy to follow. And then we'll sort of try to get actionable and practical about next steps going
Yeah.
forward so that we don't drop the ball. When I did speak to Nick about it today, he said that he had thought we might have put in heat pumps this year. So he actually, in this year's budget, he put less fuel oil and more electricity. So he thought this whole thing was gonna move much faster than it did. So, and that's, a lot of that is me in the transition, but, you know, so anyway, so to be continued, but at least we have this report and we can move forward. And I will share it with the Energy Committee, you know, in case they have any perspectives.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, now we're to, old business, and under that, we've already done the Energy Committee nominees. And, there's a sheet that I think is in everybody's packet, some preliminary budget,
Yeah, I think,
discussions.
I sent it to you late today by email, and it's not for this meeting,
Right.
but I did write down some ideas, and these are just the things that are in my head. And you all will have other ideas.
Yep.
But before we start looking in the nitty gritty of each budget item, I think it's good to try to think about
It's a good
the big
feeling.
picture. And so I just wanted to give you something to respond to,
I had
for the
a
future.
question, and I saw your note on public safety, Cynthia, and did we budget this year for?
I can't remember if we did or not. I think
I
they
don't
said
think
they
we
didn't have it.
did.
No, I think we budgeted the year before and then they couldn't fulfill it because of the
Right.
staff. And
I knew that, and I don't know if I feel like we just took it out.
I think we just took it out.
Personnel changes, right? And the sheriff has changed. So if that's something that we may want to think about budgeting for the question is, do we try and negotiate a contract ahead of the new budget year and come up with what the rate and everything is so that we could budget appropriately for it, if in fact we could come to an acceptable contractual agreement?
We had Mr. Gully here for a meeting. We
Yeah,
went over quite a bit of stuff at that meeting.
it's still not a contract.
No, it wasn't a contract, but he's willing to come back and talk at any time.
Yeah, and I think that it should
Well, the
have guardrails
conversation.
so that we don't have.
Well,
some of
that's the
problems that
thing,
we had
right? Like,
before.
Problems in the
Um,
past, and that's
Right,
why I
and I
wonder.
would like, I think that we need more patrols at certain times of the year than others, at certain times of the day or certain days of the week, and I don't know how much flexibility we can get from them.
Well, that's
But-
where
but
I wanted to
I think that
investigate.
The speeding issue and the river safety issue, those are the things that are on my head, that I hear about a lot. And I think it would be nice to be able to have somebody that we could assign for patrols and that we could call on. I mean, if there's a crisis, obviously you call on the state police, but, I think it's something to think about. If you want me to reach out to the sheriff and ask him, about, his perspective, or Matt, if you want to think about it, a little bit. And we can
Yeah,
go
I
back
think
and
I'd
look at
like
what we
to
spent.
think about it a little bit and just come up with some guardrails
Okay.
and some verbiage for a contract initially. I mean, all our challenges has always been that we spend all of this money and they patrol between 9:45 and 11 a.m. and miss the lunch hour, the morning commute rush and the lunch hour rush, which, I mean, it's an Arlington rush, so it's not like a rush, but
Right.
that's when, or the after school rush, I will say that they kind of avoid or miss the areas of those targeted times. So,
That's the thing, I think we should have to have the ability to say, this is when we want.
well,
you to
right,
patrol.
and then.
Now, and we know we don't want to have it be, so everybody knows the sheriff's gonna be there at 8 o'clock,
Right.
every morning, but.
Unpredictability, the element of surprise
Right,
works
Right.
So we don't
definitely in
have
their
a sheriff
favor.
department,
but I,
State police.
We do not, and we budgeted $0 for public safety this
so we're
year.
I live
naked,
next door to one.
Well, we have
That's
state
good.
troopers.
yeah,
We have a lot of troopers that live in.
but we don't have
I know,
a
I
patrol
live next
contract.
door.
Yeah,
But
we don't
that's,
have a contract with anyone specific because the state police didn't have sufficient staffing to renew our contract that we had with them. And it does look like, I just found it in here, that we budgeted $0 for this year. So it's something to think about, and we may want to have, let me work on some verbiage
Think about
for a
it, yeah,
contract,
yeah.
and maybe we have that discussion with the sheriff
yeah,
to see if they would be willing to negotiate on a contract to meet our terms. And if they were, then we could budget appropriately and then work through.
and we're getting
contractual
started
aspects.
early enough,
Yes.
so that.
Is there a particular incident that's?
No, I mean, it's just the standard, river problems in the summer, right? Or speeding is probably the biggest headache.
The reason we got rid of them several years ago was during COVID. I don't think that was any reason for it.
It was
but
going on long.
It was going on long before that, but basically we asked for more detailed accounting of their hours, their patrols. And
They were double
They-
dipping.
They were double dipping and then they didn't really want to open their books to us. For us to
But that was
figure
the
out where it
previous
was.
sheriff.
Yeah, that was a
Not
previous
this
sheriff,
current
so there's a
You
new
know, we're
sheriff
not
in
saying
town,
anything
if you
about
will.
that, but It just got really dicey.
Yeah, they
And
bill
so-
us for 3 hours, but then they would leave in the middle of that shift and go to another municipality that they cover and bill them for 2 hours. So they were double dipping on the bill, and, there was a few
So you got a
other
rebate, so you
situations.
got a rebate.
No, but
We should.
we did terminate the contract.
And I don't know if this is even a possibility, but one thing that I did wonder about the tickets was those automated, they have, the big cities
flashers.
have automated, they take a picture of
Yeah.
your license plate and they send you the ticket. And I'm sure that those systems are really, what,
I don't think it's legal in Vermont.
It's not
there you
legal
go.
in Vermont. I've already researched
go.
it because when I
Alright.
was in Europe, you know, they have them everywhere. It's just, it's all automated
Yeah.
in Europe. It's
Yeah.
just, but yeah, there's some legislation that was on the docket, but then I think
They
fell
got
off the
pulled.
docket and they haven't agreed
Yep.
to make those legal, unfortunately, because that would solve a ton of our problems to just make it automated on a cart that, you know, it
not
could
just does
issue
it
a ticket.
record your speed, it sends you the ticket.
It could ticket, but unfortunately, it's not legal yet in
Yeah.
Vermont. Hopefully that will change at some point.
Okay.
So we're gonna review this.
Yeah, I'll make some notes on it already.
Put
so.
notes on it as you see fit, and we'll discuss this.
Yeah, and you have the printout
The
there
next
too.
several
Everybody has.
meetings,
a-
Yeah,
sure.
Are we gonna do like a budget week this year
I think we should.
Think we
right
have
after
to.
the first of
December.
the year.
In December.
in December? Okay.
Yeah, but there's no reason we can't, and when I talked to Nick, I had a meeting with Nick this morning, and he said that maybe not right now, but in a little bit, I can start calling the county or VLCT and getting those numbers that, you know, we're just given, this is the new number, you know, and then we can fill those in. But there's a lot of policy areas, and that's what you want to concentrate on.
So we can do that in December, but we usually dedicate 3 to 4 nights to that.
Yeah.
And generally, we would just warn the entire week. And then if
You get
it's
through
not
it,
needed, we just don't meet those.
3 nights, we just don't meet the other 2, right?
But the big ones are the highway, fire, and then the admin, which we kind of do internally amongst departments in the building.
And we'll have the water department.
And the water
separate.
department will be a separate department.
Yeah,
So at least 4 nights,
Arnie,
all right?
So I would ask that we, go to 15 now.
Go to the
Willie's
executive
been
session,
sitting here all night. So
okay? So
all right,
let's,
do we
uh,
have
then-
anything else besides personnel for executive session this evening?
yes, we do.
We have a legal.
We have personnel and legal. I think that's.
I didn't think there was any property, right?
I
So,
don't believe so.
I'll make a motion that a premature discussion of personnel and legal issues would cause the municipality to suffer a substantial disadvantage.
second,
motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to establish the reason for the executive session as a personnel and legal matter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And now we'll enter into
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session for said personnel and legal matters and to invite Town Administrator Browning and our crew member Willie Knight to remain in the room.
second,
motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to enter into said executive session. And Town Administrator Browning and Willie Knight.
Supervisor.
Superintendent.
Recording stopped.
All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
We'll be back in a few minutes, Janet.
No, not a few minutes. She should go.
Can we take the
I-
rest of the notes?
and stuff.
Yeah,
I can take the minutes for the warrants.
okay.
All right, yeah, because we just have warrants
'Cause
and
we
town
have-
administrator report.
No, and
so-
I don't have a separate report. I just
Okay.
have time to do that. So we have the warrants. I can do that, but we had the